I'm just about to have a lesson that's gonna literally change my golf game, and I'll tell you why. So I'm sitting in the car park of the St Andrews Links Golf Academy because I've just driven from Glasgow. 2-hour drive, and today was meant to be a course lesson, so that's on course management, but my swing has been feeling so bad. So then I said to Andy, my coach, I was like, listen, can we do a lesson not on the course? I need a swing lesson. My swing is just not feeling okay. And I have messaged him so many, like this month has been full of just bad range sessions, such bad range sessions. So I messaged him like, Andy, like, can we have a practice? Can you let me know and can we work on a range session? And can you teach me how to have a proper, good quality range session where if I start shanking the ball or I start hitting bad, I can then process how to fix it? Or like, so then, yeah, so this is what we're going in for. And hopefully I'm going to post, like, the next clip, I'll post the range. I'm filming it, miking up, I'll film the next bit. So I'm going to be really interested as to what he says, because I'm tired of having sessions where I'm hitting the ball badly and I don't know why, and I leave the range frustrated, I think, and I'm sure you guys can all relate to that. So we're going to fix this. Today's the day I'm going to fix it. We're going to change some things in my swing, or fix some, I don't know, clearly fix some stuff that's broken. And I'm going to figure out how to have good range sessions without, I think I just bashed too many balls, without quality, if that makes sense. So let's go for my lesson and we'll see what my coach says.
What club do we have there?
Yeah.
Okay. I should have guessed that. I generally know most of my lessons what club they start with. How, let's say, percentage of those shots recently?
Maybe like 40%.
Okay.
At the range though, that'll be constant. But when I'm on the course, I'll switch.
Was it mainly shanks more than fats? Because obviously previously it's been mainly just a bit heavy, hasn't it? Okay, let's pause there for a moment. Just going to kind of go through this a little bit, just have a look at it, slow down. Obviously, last time we spoke, mainly was the timing, wasn't it? The kind of hips going, club being delivered a little bit later. So the kind of sequencing to the swing, basically. Contact-wise, very consistently heel. Okay, even the shots that looked okay, that was all of the shots. Yeah, so you can see obviously the extreme one being obviously a bit more into the blue pattern, but obviously the majority, quite consistent, they're not littered about, but consistently at the heel. So obviously we want to change that. So what we're doing at the moment is quite repeatable. Obviously, given the strike location, can give you a big mix of shots. Like if you move that red heat signature a fraction towards the heel, it's going sideways, which is obviously then the, does that make sense? Yeah, so we want to get away from that heel strike for sure. So I'd say only can we probably expect to be more consistent when the strike is more central. Okay. If we're not finding the center, we could get more of a mixed bag as well. Okay. Setup wise, at the moment we're setting up quite well. Yeah, so distance away is okay. That's always been like trying to get the right place as well, isn't it? And I would say even if we have to measure when you practice, I think I've said this to you before, but when I place my club behind the ball, I kind of place my hand at the top to just make sure I'm almost the same distance away all the time. Just almost being quite boring with the fundamentals, basically trying to just repeat them. We're setting up quite well at the moment. Okay. Just going to draw a couple of lines on here. Moving into the takeaway. Working quite well, just got a fraction behind there with the club head, but from where we were when you were struggling in the reverse and it was like way out here, it's much better. I'd rather see it there than too much the opposite way. Okay. Obviously, ideally, it would completely match the hands in the positioning. Does that make sense? Yeah, but let's have a quick look at one more, just random. Yeah, quite similar. Quite similar, yeah. Okay. So, working back. Kind of spoke about this in the past here. Club angle is a little too flat. Okay. Generally the case if it goes a little bit inside, but then what happens from there, we have a bit too much left forearm rotation. Does that make sense? So you kind of imagine my watch or the back of my hand would turn and twist a bit too much. And that's what gives us the like across the line open club face position. So this was yesterday, yeah? Yeah? This is kind of what I was on about here. So you can see the club face.
Okay.
Have a look at this club face.
Oh.
So that's changed completely. I haven't spoken to you since that video.
So how, like,
From obviously the feel, you still building your experience in golf as well, aren't you? But obviously, so it is possible things can kind of change a little bit. However, you can see that's quite a considerable difference in the club face. That one being more square, this one being open. Even if the strike quality was the same, you're going to have a different shape from those as well. So obviously we want to find some consistency on how we finish the top of the backswing at least, to give you this almost the same chance coming down, don't we, as well? So we're going to obviously work on getting into the right feel as well, but you can see the difference in those two. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah, so that's kind of what I was on about there. That's probably not the biggest difference I've seen in like videos over weeks, let's say, but I think just we maybe have to have a way of checking as well, if that makes sense. Yeah, so as you're up to the top here, good, a little bit laid off, a little bit kind of, like I said, a little bit of rotation, a little bit flat. On the right screen, we're pretty good rotation. Okay, we're into a good spot. Let's have a look at this coming down. So we start to move down. Hands get a little bit deeper. So you see the drop below that line. Okay, club gets a little bit steeper. And we start to move down. Okay. We are getting a little bit too close with the right elbow again for me. Yeah. And that's purely because we've gone up a little bit flatter. Okay, and then we've come down a little bit deeper. Does that make sense? I'm exaggerating. And as we come down deeper, if I'm more this way, I'm going to get closer to my hip. Yeah, there's always a balance, because obviously we wouldn't also want to go too far that way. Okay, so I think it's just probably the best course of action now is to just go through, this is where we need to be here, this is a checkpoint, this is a checkpoint. And you just try and obviously continually repeat those. Does that make sense? Just so that we have some consistency in where we're trying to be. There are some positives. We're moving forwards quite nicely. Your pivot's pretty good at the moment. The arm plane and the arm path or hand path is a little bit different. Get a little bit flatter and then steepen it a little. This is not as far out in front of you as it was earlier or yesterday. Where are we now with, just trying to find, not sure if I can click that, what shot was that one? That's probably the one that Faris is standing in the way.
Bombs in the way.
Yeah, that's the one that's standing in the way. Damn.
That's what it looks like from Ryan.
Never happened, no proof. That's okay, that's okay. Just running through one random swing again, just to see if it's the same, first of all. Okay. Just going to play it through quite quickly here. So very similar takeaway. Different club face. See that? Mm-hmm. So we've just left you to hit, how many balls we hit? They're five swings apart, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
and then the face is in a completely different position. So the way we're obviously achieving the top of the backswing is whatever feeling we have at the moment is changing. But again, if we are rotating forearms, just that tiny bit more is going to change it. It's going to change the plane, it's going to change the club face. That tiny bit less, it's going to have a different effect. Does that make sense? But you can see how, from my point of view, it's like, okay, what's going on there? It's like, that's completely different. We're going to work a little bit, obviously, on the backswing to just try and set up a bit more consistent position, okay? So we need to get the club face a bit more closed. As a result, with less forearm rotation, I'm expecting the club to be a bit more here rather than too much this way. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. As we look at the left screen, right screen for you, as we look at the right screen, I just think we just need a bit more width. So I just think, don't get me wrong, I like to keep the right arm fairly close to the body. I just think it's too close. As you see there, like the hands are only here. I just want to see a little bit more width and then folding. So you can see when you set the club there, I want to see the hands a little bit further out away from your leg. Okay. This way a bit. Does that make sense? Because we get a little bit narrow, and then because you're narrow here, we just work around the right arm and we just rotate it. So we're going to just work through this slowly. So we're going to feel basically just a bit wider. Okay, when I say wider, it's hands away more than you swaying. Like I wouldn't want you to move that way as well. You see what I've done there, yeah? So it's more about you just working the club and the hands outside the right hip a little more. Okay. Yeah, so naturally this feels a touch further away, doesn't it? Yeah. Touch further away, okay. So maybe if we had a measure there, you probably go in the butt of the grip, the top of the grip. I'm just wary of just trying to give you something to not overdo or underdo. So the top of the grip is just outside the right leg. Okay, yeah. So if we do that again. Good, let's go a little bit wider. Okay.
So I'm wanting to do that.
Yeah, so I like some right arm fold, but I think we're just folding it too early and getting too narrow. Okay. Yeah, so we go here. And then as we turn up, this is going to fold. But we're just going a bit too, okay. I'm exaggerating obviously, but that way, okay. Rather than there and then there. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because if you imagine if you stuck that on your side, stick your elbow on your side for me. How are you going to get that up? We're going to have to rotate, watch this hand. We're going to have to rotate it more because that's stuck there, isn't it? Right. Does that make sense? Yeah. Whereas if we go wider and we fetch this away, then we turn and fold, this can point more forwards as opposed to letting it rotate. So I would say, this has not been your intention, but I'm going to call this more of a lazy backswing to the point where we've just kind of pivoted around the right elbow and just kind of rotated the arms. Do you know what I mean? You're still turning your body, but it's kind of just a lot of that, as opposed to I want to be a bit wider, then fold. And you can see, let me do this here. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but you'll see my right elbow is a little bit further away. Yours is just a bit too stuck. So right now it's going to feel very wide. You're going to feel like you're going to try and hit me with the club here. There goes, so we feel like we're stretching away. Then we can turn up and fold, but try and keep the badge of the glove pointing towards me. Do you feel like you had less rotation there? Yeah. So yours would want to be, so if you reset, go back slow. So you would have more of that. I'm exaggerating, but that would be the movement to the top. Okay. Yeah. So if you take loose the club for me, and just hang your left arm as if you're playing, place that one somewhere else, and we go. So we go back, we get here, and then this twists too much. So yeah, that would want to obviously lay the club this way. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas I want you to go back obviously with the width, and then I want you to work up almost with less rotation in it. Does that make sense? Because you see where the club would be positioned in both of those if you turned it more. Yeah. That's going to be open with the face, more laid off. That one's going to be less open with the face, more should we say, less this look in and more this look in. Okay. So we're trying to take out some of the twist of the arms, basically. So go wide, stretch it wide again. Good. Then we're just going to fold from the right arm, but without rotating the hand. Feel different? So still want, if you do that one more time for me. So you're stretching it wide, almost like you're trying to hit me. Good. We're still wary of where the club is. Okay. So this, let's say, triangle position, arms and here, this is a bit less broken down compared to there. Okay. Okay. However, this is soft. Does that make sense? So it's not completely stiff.
Okay.
Okay. Because that's now going to facilitate the upwards move. Okay. From here, as you're moving, let's say, with less rotation, we're still turning, the hands are still working behind, as opposed to just trying to lift it. Does that make sense? Because we're still turning from the chest, we still want it to go that way. That's going to be the key difference, I think. Yes, the club is going to feel a bit steeper. And again, we talked about obviously where that points a little bit in the past. Because if we rotate, it's going to be a lot flatter. Yeah. If we have less rotation, it's going to be a lot steeper. But the depth is separate. The hard bit is, as we go back now and you feel like you've got less rotation, it will want to feel like it's here. Yeah, but obviously we need to make sure we blend that in with the turn to get it back. So try and hit me with the club a bit more, obviously slowly. Awesome. So you can see this has created a bit more of a gap, slightly. The armpit's not far away though.
No.
Yeah. And then from there, we're turning up. So it's more of a hinge and a turn than it is a roll. And then just grip it. Obviously it feels a bit weird outside the left side, but if you just grab that again for me. Good. So let's say, show me the width here again. Good. And then if we do a bad one and we start to rotate, you'll see how flat and how early that gets flat. Yeah. But if we then had less rotation, it's steeper.
For such like a small thing like that, you can actually see like how
big difference, isn't it? Yeah. And that rotation is what gets the club too laid off that way and gets the face open. Then obviously you have to subconsciously, okay, this is open, the club's over there. If the club's over and behind me that way, how do I get that out there? Well, I'm not going to swing down like that. So I'm going to have to put force here to go that way, aren't I? Does that make sense? Yeah. Because I'm not going to just swing down with that same plane. So I'm going to have to put more force on the grip, which will get the head more out here, and then shank it, because the head's too far out. So if we get set one more time with the same. Nice and wide again. So outside the hip. Good. From here, try and point this just inside the ball as we go up. There we go. That feel different with the left arm?
Yeah.
I should imagine the right feels different as well because it's gone wider.
Yeah.
This is something I want you to do. Like if I was you, and let's say you only left with that information, I'd be doing 3 of them before I hit one. Just to get the feeling. I'd probably be doing 3 of those and then I'd drop the stick. I'd also do another one without the stick, and then I would hit a shot. And then I'd pick the stick up again. Is it out of your practice bag?
Yeah.
How many bags?
How many bags? Oh, how many bags? I'll pick up 2 bags.
About 200 balls.
I mean, yeah, your bag's pretty full, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a full-on chalk bag. It's pretty.
So probably minimum 180, 170 in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Would that be correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I had a practice session a few weeks ago. I'm not saying I practiced correct. 90 balls and it took me nearly 2 hours. Good. Now this is almost going at the ground because you're not rotating this.
Okay.
But if you rotate this, it's going at the wall.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So from the width to you hinging and turning, and keeping it that way. So does the shaft feel a lot more vertical at that point? Yeah. There we go. Good. That's the better one. For you, if we can see a bit, I mean, there's always a possibility it can get too close, but it's not like you're open. But I want to see some of the face above the shaft, as you can see there. And like if you were looking, if the face is below the shaft on the video, we've not done it right. Because that means we've rotated too much, got it open. Yeah. Tell me, when you practice, one more for me. I need to add in a little bit on this downswing to make sure we don't get too stuck. But obviously, it's hard to put it all together, isn't it? Let's go a little bit wider again. Let's restart there. Let's go outside the leg with the hands. Keep going. And go. Okay, this is soft though. Yeah, it's not stiff. Good. And then you turn and fold from there.
Yeah, that's a different. Okay. Yeah.
I feel like you're stretching a bit more, you can imagine there. It does look wider. But you'll still see at the top though, this right elbow is reasonably close to your side, which is good. So it's not like it's gone there and it's miles away, because you've gone here and then you've folded. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's just that we're not just stuck. Yeah? Okay. One more swing for me. Try and repeat the same. There we go. You get to the top. Your chest remains a little closed, okay, but your hips open. I'm too old and stiff to do that, but your hips open, your chest stays back here, but then because of that, that's where the hands get deep, and that's where we get close to the hip. Yeah. Imagine, obviously, for us to get, if you see that position there, I know it's a little dark here, but you can see this one. I need your chest to be turning a little bit more towards the ball there. Yeah. So instead of being, let's say, that way, I want to have less separation in where this point. So that as we're coming down, the chest rotates a little, or the left shoulder goes back to the setup and gets this way a bit more, and they're less separated. So there's a combination of a little bit of a delay here, but also a little bit of turn from here. Does that make sense? Yeah. So where chest is pointing this way, hips are pointing this way, and then we get too deep and stuck. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Obviously, if we're going to get these hands more out slightly, in fact, if you get set up for me, and you make a backswing for me, please. Okay. So you're going down. I'm going to exaggerate. Mm-hmm. Your hands get deep. Notice how that keeps your chest closed, okay? Hold that position. Obviously your hips would be working different. However, if we went and we opened the shoulders a little bit more, look where the club is and look how much space you have. Does that make sense? Yeah. Keep that structure again. If we close the chest, more behind, hands more behind, club more behind. And then obviously this elbow is going to, especially if you fire the hips towards the target now, you're going to get stuck. Hold that position. But if we have a bit more chest turn at that point, without the hips turning anymore, we're going to get into the space, aren't we? So what I'm saying here, we need to, in timing, this needs to turn a little bit earlier towards the ball.
Okay.
So by the time you are halfway down here, I need the chest pointing at the ball.
Okay.
Whereas obviously I'm exaggerating, a little bit more this way.
Okay.
As you see how I could easily get stuck there.
Yeah.
If you go to the top for me. Good. So when the club gets down here, I want to see your chest pointing more towards the ball. So you kind of rotate in. There we go. Okay. Look where the arm space is. Yeah. I mean, ideally, yes, that club head would be a bit here. But look how much, I know the hips aren't firing at this point because we're not hitting the shot. You see how you could get more space than if you were closed with your chest?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to make the backswing. Same as what we've just been trying to do. And I want you to turn the left shoulder back to the setup position as early as you can.
Okay.
That way a bit more.
Okay.
Okay. But good backswing. A little bit open with the face, but the plane was pretty good. Okay, we'll have a look at that in a minute. Let's try and do a couple of those. Just do one rehearsal. You could rehearse it over the ball if you wanted. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to swing down. You could rehearse the backswing. So you're trying to almost turn your chest back to your hips to center everything a bit more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the reality is, this is going to take some work.
Okay.
So whether you hit it good tomorrow or bad, the thought pattern needs to be the same.
Okay.
The backswing position, albeit uncomfortable, is going to be a lot easier than trying to time up this center points, shall we call it?
Okay.
Yeah. So we're trying to rotate to the point where halfway down, you're almost back to setup, so your center points are there. Obviously, your weight is left, but I want you to feel like at this point, everything is more central.
Okay.
Obviously, from where you were before, that center would be this way, and that center would be this way. Does that make sense? Yeah. So your spine would be more neutral there, as opposed to obviously quite twisted.
Yeah.
Just so that you obviously understand what we're trying to do. Okay. Show me one more practice feel. So we're going outside, so the grip is outside the leg. There we go, good. Working up with less rotation, good. And then we're going to turn this left shoulder. There we go. So when you feel this, you turn in the left shoulder to the point where you're centered again, everything's centered. Notice, I know it's obviously slow, how much space you have. Yeah, whereas if you don't turn and you come down more here, you have no space even in a practice swing. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because the hands are essentially working deeper, and then obviously again less space. Pretty good shot. More rehearsals, less balls, just so that you can then get the correct feeling before you apply it. Yeah. Or less balls in that time.
Okay.
Quite happy for you to hit 500 balls a day if you switched on with it. I think you'd be mentally knackered.